If you're cold calling for motivated sellers and looking for wholesale deals, this is one of the biggest questions you're gonna have. Let's break it down. This is your host and real estate coach, Rafael Cortez. You are listening to the REI Wholesaling Podcast, where every week I bring you the real-life case studies and strategies you need to level up your real estate wholesaling business. If you haven't done so yet, go to reiwholesaling.com. Again, that's reiwholesaling.com. Sign up and get free access to your Wholesaling 101 course. This free training teaches you step-by-step everything you need to close your next wholesale deal and start making big money now. All right, let's talk about cold calling. This is one of the biggest questions that normally we get, or I get, when I'm coaching new students and they're getting started in cold calling. They're starting to have those conversations with the sellers. They're trying to set up their dialers and really trying to make an impact, right? We're like triple line dialers and using all the tools and resources that we can use when we're prospecting for leads. So if you're cold calling and you're getting started, maybe you've been at it for a month or a few weeks, this is gonna be one of the biggest questions that you're gonna have. Okay, how many records do I need and what can I expect from those records? Okay, so this is a simple breakdown. This is exactly what my cold calling team is doing. We do this on a regular basis. We track KPIs, key performance indicators. There's certain metrics and points of data we are very adamant about staying on top of, right? So we can stay on top of our performance, all right? So it's very important. We're not gonna get into the KPIs. What I wanna give you right now is exactly what to expect from your cold calling efforts, right? How many records do you need to dump into your power dialer so you can work those throughout the month, all right? So you wanna work on monthly budgets first off. You don't wanna be a crazy person and then drop 100,000 records into your power dialer and start dialing, right? Because you're not gonna be able to service them all. So you wanna keep it steady, you wanna keep it methodical. You wanna make sure that you have a good baseline for the amount of money that you're spending on a monthly basis. And this is exactly how we do it, right? So first off, let's, what is a power dialer? What does that even mean, okay? A power dialer, if you're cold calling for motivated sellers, a power dialer is a service, for example, like CallRail. In our business, we use Ready Mode, which used to be Zen Call, now it's called Ready Mode. It's a platform where you can upload all your records. So if you're gonna pull data from a place like Batch Leads, for example, you take that spreadsheet and you upload it to this power dialer, which is Ready Mode, and this thing starts dialing for you, right? So it's actually one of the best tools. If you're gonna invest money right at the beginning of your wholesaling efforts, this is one of the places where you really need to do it. Good quality data. And then power dialers is absolutely where to go if you're gonna be cold calling, all right? So you don't wanna cold call with your cell phone forever. I mean, that's gonna take forever. Your reach is gonna be super low, meaning that you're not gonna hit as many people as you could with a power dialer. And with these things, like the benefit is that the platform is just going and going and going. It keeps dialing numbers until somebody picks up and then routes the call over to you. All right, so absolutely jump on a power dialer. Our preferred power dialer is gonna be Ready Mode. Our preferred place to pull data and pull seller lists is gonna be Batch Leads. I'm gonna drop all the links to that stuff here in the show notes. But keep that in mind, all right? So how many records do you need? If you're using a power dialer, usually you have a triple line dialer. For the most part, we use the standard settings, so we don't get too crazy on adjusting and customizing and all that stuff, right? The magic is really gonna be in the quality of the data and how well you stay on top of the health of the numbers that you're cycling through your power dialer. So baseline, we pull 10,000 records per seat per month. So if you're marketing in any area, just give yourself the allowance of 10,000 records per seat per month. We used to go through this process where we would go through a list, and then if we hit the number twice, we wouldn't hit them again. But I felt like we were leaving a lot of money on the table with leads not being contacted. And that sort of thing, all right? Now with Ready Mode, the settings are different. It's not gonna tell you whether you hit one number once or twice. What it does, it just goes through everything over and over again until you move the campaign or you hit another list, right? So what happens is that the health of the lists starts to drop. So you'll see a big contact rate at the beginning of the list, and then maybe next week it starts to drop a little more, then the following week it drops a little more. So what we do to mitigate that kind of stuff is we have 30 phone numbers, right, 30 numbers per seat, meaning per 8-hour shift. So a seat is gonna be an 8-hour shift. In my company, that's what that means, right? We have a cold caller seat, which is 8 hours. That seat gets 30 phone numbers from the power dialer itself, right? And 10,000 records per month, okay? Keep it steady. Now, understand that if you're gonna be skip tracing data, every time you add a new cold caller, you're also adding the overhead of pulling the data and then paying for that extra seat, right? So it's not just the cold caller seat, that the payroll that you're paying for, it's the stuff that you have to buy to keep them busy, all right? Keep that in mind. It's a side note. I go deep into all that kind of stuff, how to hire, how to build your cold calling team, and everything in between in my coaching program. So if you want to find out more about that, go to reiwholesaling.com. Okay, back to the story. So 10,000 records per seat per month. Okay, you're gonna let that list of 10,000 records cycle through your power dialer for the entire month. Make sure that your numbers are healthy. So if you see that the performance of the list is dropping, you can go back to see your connections, right? So this is what you can expect from 10,000 records per seat per month, okay? Routed calls. Ready Mode has this filter in there that tells you how many calls were actually routed over to your callers. On average, you should be expecting, on a healthy list and healthy numbers, you should be expecting about 300 routed calls per day, meaning that your cold callers, or your number, if it's you doing the cold calling, is gonna ring about 300 times, right? So it's gonna route over somebody from the other end of the line to you about 300 times a day on an 8-hour shift, okay? So do the math if you're working part-time, if you're working 2 hours, but that's kind of like the standard. It's the average, it's what we see from my cold calling team. About 300 routed calls a day from an 8-hour shift. Now, out of those calls, you're not gonna have 300 conversations, okay? Sometimes it's gonna go to voicemail, sometimes it's gonna ring a couple times and move on to the other one. Like, there's different triggers that happen, right? You're not gonna have 300 conversations a day. You should be having, though, if you're sitting there for 8 hours and going through a power dialer, you should be having anywhere from 80 to 120 contacts, okay? Depending on how long the conversations are. If you really get into it and you spend 30 minutes with a prospect on the phone, then that's gonna change, right? But on average, if you're having quick contacts, right, and just kind of gauging the interest of the leads, which is what my cold callers do, they're talking to anywhere from 80 to about 120 people a day, all right? That's the contact rate that we have in there. Now, what does that translate to, okay? 80 to 100 contacts a day usually will give you on average about 2 leads a day. So it all boils down to this, okay? We're looking at 10,000 records per seat per month. That's gonna give you, or it should give you, about 300 routed calls. If your list is healthy, you have good quality data from batch leads, and you have about 30 phone numbers per seat, okay? So you have to buy phone numbers for this thing to stay healthy. Get about 30. 30 is a good number. They're not that expensive. It sounds like a lot, but it's doable. All right, so that should give you on average about 30 routed calls, and those 30 routed calls should give you about 80 to 100 opportunities to make contact with people. And these are stats that my team is seeing on a daily basis, all right? So I'm not just pulling these numbers out of a hat. It's actual numbers that we go through a cold calling team. And this is what we're seeing, okay? So, and then out of that, you should be getting about 2 leads a day. Now, 2 leads may not sound like a lot for a full 8-hour day, but they are, okay? They start adding up. So the first week, you should be seeing around 10 leads, and you're going through your discovery conversation, pre-qualifying these leads and doing all this and that, right? Converting them into prospects, pushing them over to acquisitions, and maybe making offers on the deals if the opportunity calls for it and whatnot. So you're going through the entire process. 2 leads a day, 2 leads a day, 2 leads a day. What's gonna happen is that by week 2, you have 20 leads and follow-ups in the pipeline. By week 3, that goes up to 30 leads in the pipeline with follow-ups, right? So first month 1, month 2, I mean, these leads start stacking up. I mean, 2 on 2 on 2 on 2, right? So keep that in mind. It sounds like small numbers, but it's really not. When you do it and you stay consistent with it, you're able to really exponentially grow your seller database, which is what we want, right? But keep it steady. Don't go too crazy on things. I mean, don't try to hire a whole team of 7, 8 cold callers all at once, because you're gonna have to buy data for those 7 or 8 cold callers all at once. And when you buy data, you don't want to give them 300 records. You don't want to give them 5. You want to keep them busy. You could give 1,000 records a month, but what's going to happen is that they're going to go to that 1,000 list real quick, and it's going to diminish the results like on day 3. All right, so it's not sustainable. Give them good amount of healthy data. Give them a good amount of quality data, right, which is very important, and make sure they have the opportunity to work that, right? So 10,000 records per seat per month should give you about 300 routed calls and about 80 to 120 contacts on a daily basis, right, for that one seat. And from that, you should be getting about 2 leads a day. That's the average that we're seeing with my cold calling team. And my cold calling, I mean, they've been doing it forever. They've been doing it. They've been actually most of the people on my cold calling team have been with me since 2018. Okay, so these are stats that we just continuously improve upon. But if you have a good, healthy list, a good, solid platform to use as a power dialer, and a good script to have those conversations, and you get into that practice state, you are going to compound those leads on a daily basis. Find out more about how you can build and scale your wholesaling business. Go to reiwholesaling.com and download the Wholesaling 101 course. It's a free course. It's going to do the full breakdown for you, really give you a lot of insight into this. I'm also going to drop a link below where you can hire top quality trained VAs that can do the cold calling for you. If you're going to be pulling lists, go to Batch Leads. I mean, it's like there's no contest, right? It's the best data source out there by far from everything else. So, all right, check out those resources. That's exactly how I'm running my cold calling team. As far as the dialer, check out Ready Mode. They do really, really well in staying compliant and keeping that contact rate high, okay? With that being said, let me know your thoughts. I hope to see you inside the REI Wholesaling Academy. Stay focused. You got this. Fam, thank you for listening. Every week I bring you the real, the raw, the mindset, the case studies, and the strategies you need to build your own successful real estate wholesaling business. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and don't miss out on real life experience and information that can make you millions. It's time to join the ranks of successful wholesalers and take advantage of one of the biggest opportunities that we have in our lifetime to generate wealth. So go to reiwholesaling.com. Head over to my website, again, that's reiwholesaling.com, and learn how to make big profits, make big money by finding, negotiating, and closing wholesale deals from your own backyard. You've heard the stories, seen the case studies, stop thinking about it, it's time to write your own. Again, head over to reiwholesaling.com, click on coaching program, book a discovery call, have a conversation with my team, and you might get an invitation to join hundreds of students throughout the country who are leveling up on a daily basis. The writing is on the wall. Hustle is a season. It's not a business strategy. Take action, start building a sustainable and scalable real estate wholesaling business, and join the coaching program today. I will catch you guys on the next one. Talk to you soon. Stay focused. You got this.